will be a star freelancer. Learn new skills. Set your goals. Increase your skills. Browse over 100 plus videos and ebooks. Jump to starfreelancer.eu.
Hi guys, welcome. Now in the process of registering, users are going to be able to pick an image. So what we can do, over here we can have a default image. And on top of that default image, we're going to have a camera icon. So on top of that icon, users are going to be able to pick an image. Okay, so now what first we're going to do is to add the default image, and on top of it we're going to have a camera icon. Okay, now to do this, we're going to go back to our VSC code. Now we're going to do this before the test field, right? So instead of this test field becoming the first child, we can have a stack. We're having a stack because we're going to place a widget on top widget. So you basically use stack to place widget on top widget. Okay, so now we're going to have a stack widget. Okay, just going to add a training comma over here to get rid of that error. Now as well, this stack widget can take multiple widgets, so it has the children. Okay, now the first child is going to be a circle avatar. Okay, now we can give a radius of 64. I think that's how circle is going to be, or sorry, how round is going to be. Okay, so we can have the background image, which it expects it to be the network image. Okay, now I'm just going to paste this URL I have on my clipboard, but you can easily go to your browser, search for user transparent image, then click on this link over here, that is www.pngitem. Okay, you can see it over here. Okay, now assuming we don't have good network, we just going to display a color. So we're going to say background color is going to be colors.blue, or you can say black. Okay, so go and check it out. Now you can see we don't have, okay, we have a good network, but assuming we don't have a good network, it's going to return that background color. Okay, now what we can do, we can give space between this and this, right? And to do that, I'm going to give the space vertically. So this is going to be a size box, right? Size box. This is going to be height, right? Height of probably 20. Okay, add your training comma over here. Control S to save. Okay, great. Now we're going to place an icon over here. So to do that, over the stack widget, after the circular avatar, we're going to have a position, which is going to tell how we are going to place the icon or whatsoever I want to place. Okay, now for the child is going to be icon button. Okay, on press, we're just going to leave this empty. For the icon, it's going to be icon widget. So this is going to be icons dot add, I think, underscore a photo. Okay, add your training comma here, add your training comma here, add your training comma. Okay, remember the need for the position was to tell how we are going to place that icon on top of the circle avatar. So we are going to say left. We want it to be minus 10. Sorry, it's going to be bottom of minus 10. Sorry, remove this. Then this is going to be left of 80. Okay, now I've tried this out before, so that's why I'm going with this. Okay, now let's check. Okay, great, you can see it over here, right? So on top of this, later in the future we're going to implement this. On top of this, it's going to probably open the the model. So users are going to be able to choose either from picking from gallery or picking from camera. Okay, great. Okay. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now most of the time you're going to encounter errors, and these errors is going to get thrown on your VSC code, which might as well break your app. So now what we're going to do in this lecture, we're going to try to get rid of that. So instead of throwing it at VSC code, it's going to throw it on our debug console. So to do that, we're going to click on this over here. Okay, now you're going to see something like call stack. Click on that call stack. You're going to see this. So uncheck this all exceptions. Default is going to be checked. So uncheck it. As well, uncheck this uncaught exceptions. Okay. Now when you encounter error, it's not going to throw it on your VSC code, but it's going to throw it on your debug console. So now currently I don't have my Ethernet, so I'm going to hot restart this. Okay. Hot restarting. Just have to wait a while. Okay. Now I'm going to navigate to the register page, right? Okay, now since we don't have Ethernet, it returns the color which is of blue. Now you can see we don't have any error thrown at our VSC code, but if we go check our debug console, you're going to see that error. Okay, debug console. Okay, great. You can see it's trying to say we don't have an internet connection to load that image. So if not because of this, we just unchecked, it's going to throw that error on our VSC code, and most of the time it's going to crash our app. So like I said, now to locate this, you're going to click on this over here. You're going to see something like call stack. I've already done mine, so that's why I can't find that call stack. But probably you're going to see something like a call stack. Click on it, then you're going to see this breakpoint. Default is going to be checked, so you can just uncheck both the all exception and the uncaught exceptions. Okay. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now if we click on this emitters field, we're going to get this overflow error, and in order to get rid of this overflow error, what we can do is we can make this sign up page scrollable. Okay, so now to do this, we're going to go to our VSC code. Now over this column, we're going to wrap it with a single child scroll view. So by doing that, it's going to make the sign up page scrollable. Okay, so now over this column, I'm going to use control and dot wrap with widget. Then it's going to be single child scroll view. So by doing this, our sign up page is now scrollable. Okay, use control and S to save. Okay. Okay, great. Now we cannot scroll vertically. So now you can see we can scroll vertically, right? Okay, great. Now what we can do, we can take this back to where it was before. So over this container, we're going to say alignment. So this is going to be alignment dot center, right? Okay, center. So it's going to take it back to where it was before. That is the center. Okay, great. Now you can see as the keyboard pops out, it's going to go to the hub, and that was the reason we wrapped it with the single child scroll view, so we're able to scroll the sign up page. Okay, great. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now in this lecture, we're going to add some packages we're going to be needing throughout our app. Now head up to pub.dev. Now the first package we're going to be using is the getS, right? So over here, you're going to search for get. Okay, then click on this over here. this first one over here. Now we're going to copy the code over here. Then we're going to head up to our VSC code, then the pulsespec.yaml file. Okay, now we're going to paste this under the dependencies. So over here, the same line with the Flutter, we're going to paste this. Okay, I'm not going to use Ctrl and S to save for now. So I'm going to go back. The other package you're going to be needing is the Cloud Firestore. So search for Cloud Firestore. Click on this first one over there. Then we're going to copy the code as well. And we're going to go to our VSC code. Then we're going to paste this after this Cupertino icons. So paste this. Okay. Great. Now we're going to go to this. Okay. Now the other package we're going to be needing is the Firebase core. So we're going to click on this over here. Okay. Just going to wait for my network. I'm as well going to go to this. Okay. Search for Firebase art. Click on this. Okay. So now I'm going to copy this Firebase core. Paste this over here. Okay. We're also going to be needing Firebase art. Okay. Paste this over here. Okay. Now as well, we're going to store our image, right? So we're going to be needing the I think a package called, just going to head up to the pub.dev. Okay. The cloud, sorry, I think Firebase storage. Yeah. Great. So click on this. Copy this over here. Okay. Paste as well. Okay. Now also we're going to be able to pick image either from our gallery or camera. So as well, we're going to go back to the pub.dev. Click this link over there. Then we're going to search for image picker. Okay. Great. So we're going to copy this as well. Go back to, okay, paste. Okay. Now if we need more, we're going to add it later. Okay. So we added the Cloud Firestore, the Firebase core, the Firebase art, the Firebase storage, the image picker. Now you're going to see what all this does later. Okay. Now we're going to use Ctrl and S to save in order to get all the packages. Now after you finish getting the packages, it is very needful for you to close your VSC code, then restart it. Okay. In order for it to grab that recent change. Okay. So after my finishes, I'm going to close it, then restart it. So make sure you do same for yours. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now in this lecture, we're going to integrate Firebase. Now head up to console.firebase.google.com. Now if you don't have an account, you can just go ahead and create one. Okay. Now we're going to click on Add Project. Okay. Now we're going to call this project TikTok app. Okay. Now we're going to click on Continue. Okay. Now make sure you don't enable this. So we're going to disable Google Analytics. Okay. Now we're going to click on Create Project. Okay. This is going to take some time. You're just going to wait for it. Okay. 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 It's going. You just have to wait a while. Okay. I think I'm having slow network. Okay. Okay, now we're going to click on Continue. Okay. Now we're going to be doing for we're going to be integrating for Android. So we're going to click on Android. Now it's asking for the Android package name. And you can click on this to know where to locate it. You can see your package name is generally the application ID in your app level. Okay, so this is the app level, right? So this should be it. Okay, now this is over application ID. So we're just gonna copy this, okay, and paste. Now it's asking for the nickname. You can see is option as well. We can just say TikTok clone. Okay, now we don't really need this since we are not doing any Google signing. You can see it's basically for Google signing or signing in with Google. So we're going to click on register app. Okay, register app. Okay, now we're going to download this. Click on this to download it. Now now you can see where we're going to put this. Okay, you can see it's in the app level as well. So move the Google-service.json file you just downloaded into your Android app model root. Okay, so we're going to copy this or just cut it. We're going to go to desktop. I think we called it TikTok project. Then we're going to go to 100. We're going to go to app. Then we're going to paste this over here. Okay, great. Now we're going to go back. Then we're going to click on next. Okay, now first of all it's asking us to add this line, and this is where it's asking us to add the line. You can see the project level view.gradle. So this, we're going to copy this. This is the project level, right? So it should be this. Okay, I think it's asking us to paste it over here. Great. Control and S to save. Okay, now we're going to go down. Okay, I think this is all about this. Okay, now we're going to copy this over here, the apply plugin, and I think it's asking us to paste it in the app level build.gradle. So this is the app level, right? So this is the build.gradle. So we're going to paste this. We're just going to paste this over here. Okay, use Ctrl and S to save. Okay, now we're going to copy this over here as well. Great. So I think it's the same place. So just gonna use Ctrl and V to make this wide. Okay, it's asking us to paste this over here. Okay, great. Ctrl and S to save. Okay, now what we can as well do, we can change this minimal SDK version to 21. Ctrl and S to save. Okay. Hope we aren't missing anything. We added this, and we added this. Okay, now we're going to click on next. Okay, now we're going to click on go to console. Okay, great. So that's how simple it is to integrate Firebase to your project. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now in this lecture we're going to start building the functionality for our sign up page. Okay, now to do this I'm going to go to File, Remember we said the controllers folder is where we're going to be creating the functionalities for our app. So over this controllers folder, we're going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this file auth_controller dot, right? That is for the authentication. Okay, now what we can do over here, we're going to create a class, and we're going to call this auth controller as well. Okay, now what we're going to do next, we're going to say extends getS controller. So by doing this, getS is going to have control over the UI. Okay, great. I think okay, great. Now before we go further, what we're going to do, we're going to initialize Firebase, like saying we want to call Firebase or start up the Firebase engine before we start using our app. Okay, so we're going to go to the main.dat file. Okay, now I'm going to use Ctrl and B to make this wider. Okay, now over here, I'm going to make this async because we're going to be using the wait to await for Firebase. So now what we're going to do first, we're going to say widget flutter binding dot ensure initialized app. Okay, now we're going to await for the Firebase. So now we're going to say await Firebase dot await Firebase dot ensure initialize app. Okay, now what we're going to say do next, we're going to say dot then. Okay, so we're going to say dot then you're just going to use this lambda function. Okay, add your training comma here. So now we're going to say get dot. Okay, first of all, I'm going to use control and dot. We're going to import this get/get.dat, so we have access to all the getS property. So we're going to say get.put. Okay, now we're going to pass in that auth controller. So by doing this, we're going to have access to that auth controller class in all the routes. Okay, great. Now the next thing we're going to do, instead of this material app, this is going to be get material app, get, I think, material app. Okay, great. Okay, now we're going to hot restart this. Then we're going to go to our terminal. I think we're going to see we just created that debug console. Okay, I'm just going to wait for it to restart. Okay, great. You can see the auth controller has been created. Auth controller has been initialized. Get material controller has been created. Get material has been initialized. Okay, great. Now we can start working on the functionality for users of our users are gonna sign up, right? Okay. Sorry, over here. So now we're going to start building the functionality for our sign up page. So in the next lecture, we're going to start that. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now in the last lecture, we created this class which we called auth controller, and we are extending from the getS controller. And the reason for this getS controller was so getS is going to have control over the UI. Then over the main.dat file, what we simply did was to first of all initialize Firebase, like start up the Firebase ng before our app gets run or before we get using our app. Then over here we say get.put, then we pass in that auth controller which we had earlier created. And the reason for this is so we have access to this auth controller within our routes or pages. Okay, now in this lecture, what we're going to do, we're going to create the validation for creating user. So what I can do, I can add a comment over here. So I can just say registering user. Probably my spelling is not correct, but I'm just going to leave it that way. Okay, so now we have, I think we have the image field, we have the username field, we have the email field, we have the password field, right? So now what we can do, we can create a function that does nothing. We can say void. We can call this function register user. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do, we're going to pass in those fields, then we're going to add validation. So now the first field we need is the username, right? It's going to be a data type of string since it's a test. Okay, great. So we're also going to be needing the, I think we need the email. It's also going to be a type of data type of string, right? Since it's going to be a test as well. Okay, we also need the password, right? So password as well is a test, so it's going to be a data type of string. Then lastly we need the image. Okay, so this is going to be a type of file. Okay, we're just going to use control and dot. Okay, make sure you don't import the dart.html but the dart.io package. Okay, now this can be null, so we're going to add this over here. Okay, now we're going to create the validation. So what we're going to do, we are going to say try, use the try and catch. So you can just sorry for that, you can just navigate to this part. So now for us to automatically use the try and catch. Okay, now for the try, what you can do over here, we're going to use an if statement. We can say if the username dot is not empty and sorry and the email dot is not empty. Okay, and the password dot is not empty. Then we're also going to say and image is not, so this means it's not equal to null. Okay, great. So now if it is not equal to none, what we want to do, we can just add a comment over here. Then we can say we want to save the user to auth and Firebase and to Firebase Firestore. Okay, great. Now if we have an error over here, we are just going to say return a snack bar. So we're going to say get. Okay, so what I can do, sorry, we are coding together. We're just going to remove this over here. This is going to be get dot dot. Sorry, get dot dot. Okay, great. Now you can see we have access to, rather than importing individual stuff from the getters. Okay, so we're going to say get the snack bar. Now we need to pass in the title of the hero, or the hero title. So we're going to say hero creating account. Okay, so now for the hero, we're just going to say e dot, then convert it to a text. So by saying e dot to string. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so in the next lecture, we're going to continue from, we want to save the user to auth and to Firebase, Firestore. So for the now, I'm just going to use Control and S to save. Okay. Okay, guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now, in the last lecture, we created this function which we called register user, and we pass in the username, we pass in the email, we pass in the password, we pass in the image. And the reason for this was we want to set up validation for users creating accounts. So we said if the username is not empty, that if it's not empty, if the email is not empty, if the password is not empty, then if the image is not equal to null, which means if it is not empty as well, then we want to save the user to the hot. Okay. And also we want to save the user to the Firebase Firestore. Okay. So now what we can do, first we're going to save the user to the hot. So in order to do that, we're going to use that package which we installed. Okay, I just think this have to be two so we don't get multi-line comments. So this is going to be a Firebase auth. But instead of using this Firebase auth, what we can do, we can create a variable to store this in our const.dat file. So over here, I'm just going to add a comment that this is colors. Okay, then over here, we're going to say Firebase. Okay, I'm just going to say Firebase. Okay, great. Now, what we can do, we can create a variable. We can call this variable Firebase auth. Okay, and it's going to store. Sorry, this should be Firebase auth. It's going to store that Firebase auth. Sorry, this is going to be Firebase auth dot instance. Okay, great. Control S to save. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the hot controller. So over here, what we just have to do is the variable we created, which we called Firebase auth. Then we're going to say dot create user with email and password. Now the username and the image field is just an additional field, right? But it's not going to get created or added to the hot. Okay, so we're going to add this or everything to the Firebase uh, Firestore. But for the uh, email, we're going to add everything to the Firebase Firestore, right? But we're not going to add the username and the image to the hot. So now what we're going to do next, we're going to go to our Firebase console. We're going to go to the hot screen. I'm just going to open this in a new tab. Hopefully my network. Okay, I'm just going to check. Okay, just have to wait a while. Okay, sorry, I'm having bad network. Okay. Okay, now we're going to click on get started. Get started. So what we are trying to do is to enable the login, sorry, creating an account using the email and password. Okay, so now, okay, now we're going to go to the email and password. Now we're going to enable it. So now we're going to click on save. Okay, great. So now when we create an account, the email and the password is going to be saved in the hot, that is this user hot authentication over here. Okay, but the username and the image is not going to be stored here, but it's going to be stored at the Firestore. Okay, so now I'm going to come again. I think we just have to add this semicolon over here. Now in the last lecture, first of all, we created a function called sorry for that. We created a function called register user, and the reason for this was so we're going to add validation check for users creating an account. So we said we pass in first the username, and we said it's a data type of string. We also pass in the email. We said it's a data type of string. We passed in the password. We said it's a data type of string. We pass in the image. We as well said it's a data type. We said it's a data type of file. Okay. Now over here we created a try and a catch block. Then over the try we said if the username is not empty and the email is not empty and the password is not empty and the image is not equal to null, which is kind of is not empty as well, then if all these are not empty, then we want to save the user to the auth and to Firebase Firestore. But for the now, we are just saving the user, the email, and the password to the auth. That is over here. Okay, right? Then if probably the user got or encounter any error when creating an account, then we're going to return the error by, so we use the get.snack bar, then we added the title of the error, which is going to be error creating account. Then we said he.toString, which is going to be the message or the error the user got. Okay, great. Like as we said, Firebase or don't have any field to store the username. We only have the create user with email and password. So for the username and for the image, we're going to store that in the Firebase Firestore. In fact, we're going to store everything again in the Firebase Firestore, but we're only storing the username. Sorry, we're only storing the uh, password and email on the Firebase auth. Hopefully you understand it. And over here, we created the Firebase auth variable, which we said is equal to the Firebase auth.instance. So over here, we're just using the variable which we had earlier created. Okay, hopefully you understand this, but if you don't still understand this, it's fine. As the process goes, surely you're gonna get everything. Okay guys, in the next lecture we're going to save the user to the Firebase Firestore. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now, before we store all our data in this Firestore database, what we're going to do first is we're going to store the picked image in this storage. Okay, now to get to this page, all you just have to do is to click on storage. Then you're going to see something like get started or create database. I think it's very easy to do. Then you're going to see production mode. You're going to see a test mode as well. So you can just choose between those, either the production mode or the test mode. But for me, I choose the test mode. Okay. Then the next thing you're going to see, it's going to ask you to choose your zone. You can as well go with the default zone by clicking on enable. Then after then, you're going to get to this stage. Okay. Now remember I said we are going to store the picked image in this storage. Okay, now to do this, we're going to go to our VSC code. Okay, now over here we said if the username, the email, the password, the image, if they are not empty, then we want to create the user with the email and password. But we're not just only going to create that user with the email and password, but as well we're going to store the picked image. So to do that, over here, after creating the user, we also want to store the picked image. So to do that, we're just going to create a private function. We are creating a private function because we want the function to be only accessible within this file. So to create a private function, all you just have to do is use the underscore. Then we're going to call this function upload image, upload image to storage. Okay, now we're going to pass in the picked image, okay, by adding that image over there. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to create this function above. Okay, we're just going to create it over here. Okay, I can just as well add a comment, upload picked image to storage. Okay, great. Now this is going to be asynchronous, so it's going to be future, and it's going to be a type of string because is a text. I think it's a image is a URL, right? So it's going to be a string. Okay, so now we call this, I'm just going to copy what we call this. Okay, as well we're going to pass in the image is a type of file. Okay, give you space. Okay, great. Now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a folder over here where all our images is going to be stored. Okay, now to do that, first of all, I'm just going to go to the const file. The const. Okay, over here, I'm going to create a var variable. We're going to call this variable Firebase storage. Okay, it's going to be equal to Firebase storage dot instance. Okay, great. Now we're going to refer to this variable over here. So over here, we're going to say Firebase storage dot what? This is going to be dot ref. Okay, then this is going to be dot child. Then what's the name of the folder? We're going to call this folder profile pics. Okay, so with this we have created a folder called profile pics. Okay, so by doing firebase storage dot ref dot child, the name of the profile we want to create, the name of the folder we want to create. Okay, now also we're going to give the name of the file, and we're going to say the name of the file is going to be the user name. So to do that, we just have to say dot child again. So we want the name of the image to be the username, right? All we just have to do is to use the Firebase auth, which has to do with our authentication, so it has access to the user. So this is going to be dot Firebase auth. I think we call this Firebase auth. Okay, then we're going to say dot current user. Okay, then dot UID. So we're going to add our exclamation mark here to say it can be null. Okay, not child f, but child. Okay, great. Okay, great. Now what we can as well do, we can store this in a variable. So we can store it in a variable called ref is equal to this, and it's going to be a type of reference. Okay, great. Okay, great. Now if yours does not import for any reason, you can use control and dot to import it. Okay, great. Now we have the folder which we called profile pics, and the name of the image which should be the user name. Okay, so so now what we're going to do next is to upload that image to our storage. Okay, so to do that, what we just have to do is to say this ref dot put file. Then we're going to pass in the picked image. Okay, well, as we're going to store this in a variable, it expects it to be a variable called upload task, since we are uploading it to the storage. Okay, so it's going to be a type of upload task as well. Okay, so we're going to say is equal to. Okay, great. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to await for the uploading. So to do this, we're just going to say task snapshot. This is going to be snap is equal to await, then this upload task. Now in order to use this await, we need to pass in the async over here. Okay, great. Okay, great. Now also, remember I said we are going to also store our data in this Firestore database. So now what you're going to do next is to get the URL of that image in this storage, because we're going to upload it later in the Firestore database. Okay, to do that, all we just have to do first of all is to say snap dot ref and dot get download URL. Okay, so after uploading it with this, we use this ref.put file to upload the image. Then over here we are getting that URL of the image. Okay, so that's what I'm basically doing. As well, we're gonna await this, and we're gonna store the results in a variable called download URL. Okay, now it's going to be a type of string, right, since it's an image. So we're going to use the equals to here. Okay, great. Now what we can do now, we're just going to say return the download URL. Okay, great. So over here we said ref, which is a variable, is equal to Firebase storage dot ref then dot child. So over here we said the name of the folder is going to be profile pics. That is where all our images is going to be stored. It's going to be called profile pics. Then over here we said dot child again. We said the name of the image or the file is going to be the user UID. That is the username. Okay, well, more like the username. You're just going to see this shortly. Then over here we said ref.put file in order to upload the user image, right? Then over here we created a variable and it expects it to be called upload task, since we are uploading an image with this ref.put file, and we said it's a type of upload task. Then over here we are waiting for the image to upload. That's what we're basically doing by saying await upload task. Then remember I said we're also going to store the image in this we're going to store the image URL in this Firestore database, right? So what we simply did here was to get the URL of the image. Okay, then we are returning the URL. Okay, great. So over here, we can as well say string download URL is going to be equal to, then we're just going to await it first. Okay, great. So this is basically it. So with this, we have successfully created the function to upload the image, and we're also going to retrieve it by using this over here. We're also going to retrieve that image. We're also going to retrieve the image URL because we're going to upload it in this Firestore database. Okay, so that's basically it. Okay, guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now in this lecture, we're going to create the user model. But before then, since we're going to store all our data in this Firestore database, first of all, we're going to set up this Firestore database. Now to get to this page over here, all you just have to do is to click on this Firestore database. Then you're going to click on create database. Okay, now it's going to ask for start in production mode or start in test mode. You can either go with this or this. I'm just going to go with the start in test mode. Then I'm going to click on next. Okay, I think I tried explaining this to you before. I'm just going to go with the default. So I'm going to click on enable. Okay, now while this is doing, we're going to go back to our VS Code. Now over here, this is a function to upload the image to the storage, right? We said the folder is going to be called profile pics, that the image name is going to be the current user, the user UID. Okay, then over here we are simply uploading that image. Okay, then over here we are retrieving the URL of that image from the storage. Okay, now this is a function, right, called register user. We have all these values over here. Then we said if these values if the username is not empty, the email is not empty, or the password is not empty, or the image is not empty. If it's not empty, then we want to create the user with the email and password. We also want to upload the picked image of that user. Remember, this is the function over here, so it's going to trigger this function. Okay, great. Now we don't only want to upload the image to storage, we as well want to upload all the data to the Firestore database. Okay, now to do this, I'm just gonna reload this. I think I'm having network issues. That's why I love doing it behind the scenes. Okay, great. Now what you're gonna do over here, first of all, I'm just gonna go to my const.dat file. Okay, as well, we're gonna create a variable called var. It's just gonna be called Firestore. Okay, it's gonna be equals to Firebase Firestore.instance. Okay, great. Just think I'm gonna use control and dot. Okay, import. Okay, great. Now we're gonna go to the alt controller, use control and V to make this wide. Now in order to upload all these data, what we can simply say first, we're going to create a users collection over here. That is like a folder where all our users is going to be stored. Okay, so to do that, we're just going to say Firestore dot collection. Okay, Now the name of the collection or the name of the folder, or you can see this as a folder. We can call this users. Then we're going to say dot doc. Okay. Now what we're going to try to do, we're going to link each user to the users collection. To do that, we're just going to say creed. That is our creed over there. Dot user dot uid. Okay, as well pass your this over here. Now the next thing we're going to do, we are just going to say dot set. Okay, then we're going to pass in all this data like email, then email. Okay, but if we do it this way and so on, right? As well, you can just say username, but if we do it this way, then there is no need for the MVC, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to create a fields that are similar to this. Then we're going to assign those fields to others. Okay, so to do this, we're going to go to our models.dat file. Sorry, our models folder. Then we're going to create a file called user.dat. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to create a class. We're going to call this class user. Okay. Now we're going to create the fields we need. First of all, we need the name. It's going to be a type of string. We also need the profile photo, which is going to be assigned to the image. Profile photo. We need the email, and as well we need the UID. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create constructor for all these fields. So this is going to be user. Okay, this is going to be this dot name. Okay, we're just going to make this required by using the required keyword. This is going to be this dot profile photo, as well required. I'm trying to make this wide. Okay, this is going to be this, sorry, required first. Then this is going to be this dot email, as well required. This is going to be this dot, sorry, this dot UID. Okay, great. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to convert all these data to a map. So to do that, all we just have to say is map. You can see all these are basically text. So it's going to be a type of, sorry, map. It's going to be a type of string, and as well dynamic. So we're going to say to JSON. We basically want to convert it to a map or an object. If you don't know what is object is something that basically has a property and a property name. Okay. Narrow function over here. So now what we're going to say is, I think, sorry, oh, just gonna use this is gonna be arrow function. Dynamic. Okay, sorry. Okay, great. Now we just have to say name, comma, photo URL. Sorry, profile photo. It's gonna be profile photo. Okay, this is gonna be email email. It's gonna be email. Okay, it's gonna be UID. Okay, great. So we are basically converting all the data to a map. Okay, so this is the property name and this is the value, right? So that's basically object. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to create the instructions of how a user is going to be created. So to do that, you can as well say factory, or you can just use the static as well. Static. Okay. Now as well, it's going to be a type of string and dynamic. Okay. So sorry. Okay. This should be static. Then the user. We are basically creating an instruction of how a user is going to be created. So this is going to be this user, right? So we are going to say from snap. Okay, make this capital letter. Okay, so since we are dealing with a user, this is going to be type of document snapshot. Then we can say snap. Okay, so what we can do, we can create a variable called var. This is going to be snapshot. Okay, sorry, forgive me on my spelling. It's going to be equal to snap dot data, right? As well is a map string, then dynamic, right? Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to return the user. Okay, so we're going to say a user is going to be created using with an email. This is going to be okay. I think we are just going to hover it over here. Okay, sorry, this is going to be ask. Okay, great. So we're going to say a user is going to be created with an email, right? So this is going to be snapshot. Then we're just going to pass in the email. Well, a user is going to be created with sorry, just have to forgive me for my mistakes. Okay, a user is also going to be created with a profile photo. So this is going to be snapshot profile photo. Okay, as well, the user is going to be created with what? I think next we have okay, we're just going to do it accordingly. So first of all, name. Okay, name. Okay, so the next should be email. Okay, this is gonna be snap. Okay, sorry, it's gonna be snapshot then email, then lastly email, then lastly we have the UID. So this is going to be snapshot dot UID. Okay, great. Now this is basically it. Over here we created the fields, then we pass it to the constructor so we're able to refer to it. Okay, then over here we converted it to a map, right? Or an object. An object is something that has a property name and a property value, right? Then over here we are creating the instructions of how a user is going to be created. We see our user is going to have a.
It's break time. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to get new videos. Share this video to open new premium videos and ebooks. We'll be a star freelancer.
Hi guys, welcome. Now in the last lecture, we created these 4 fields. That is the name, the profile photo, the email, and the UID. Now for us to be able to use this 4 fields, we have to pass it on to the constructor. Okay? Now over here, what we simply did was to convert those 4 fields to a map. Okay? Then over here, we created instructions of how a user is going to create an account. Okay, now in this lecture, we're going to assign these 4 fields. Okay, to do this, we're going to go to our Alt controller. First of all, I'm going to use Ctrl and V to make this wider. Okay, now we're going to call that user model. So we're going to say I think we called it user. Okay, we're just going to go for this over here. Okay, now you can see all these fields we created. But what we're going to do first, over here, we are going to say ask model. And the reason for this is we also have a user which is coming from the hot. So in order to avoid errors. Okay, so this should be model then dot user, right? Okay, now what you're going to do, we can store this in a variable called, or store the result in a variable called user equal to, there's going to be a type of model dot user. Okay, great. So for the name, we're going to assign it to the username. Okay, so for the name, we're going to say username. Okay, sorry, username. Okay, for the profile photo, it's going to be the download URL. Download URL. Okay, that is after uploading the image. Remember, we did this in order to retrieve the image. Okay, great. Now for the UID, this is gonna be creed. That is the credential. This over here is gonna be creed. Then dot user, then dot UID. As well, you can pass the exclamation mark to say it can be null. Okay, great. Now finally, we're going to upload the data. So to do that, first of all, we're going to create a user collection, or like a folder where our users is going to be stored. So to do that, what we're going to do over here, right? Okay, we're going to say Firestore. Remember, we created a variable which is only holding the Firestore, Firebase Firestore. So this is going to be Firestore dot collections. We're going to call this collection users. Okay, so the users collection. You can see this as a folder. Okay, then this is going to be .doc. We're going to connect the user with the users collection. So this is going to be create as well dot user, then dot UID as well. Okay, now in order to add all those fields, all we just have to do is dot set. Okay, now we're going to pass in this user. Remember, this is user is a variable holding all these fields. Okay, so we're going to say user dot to JSON. Okay, so I think we have to remove this. Okay, great. So this is basically it, right? So this is basically it. We can as well await this. Okay, great. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now I know this must have been so boring because you've not seen this in action, but really we need all this for all this to work, right? We created the function to upload the image in our storage. Then over here is the validation of these fields. That is, if the image is not empty, if the email is not empty, the password is not empty, then over here, if it is not empty, then this is going to run. That means we're going to create a user with email and password. Then as well, we're going to upload the image, the picked image to our storage. Okay. Then as well, we're also going to upload the data in our Firestore database. So all this is going to run if only the username is not empty. But what if it is empty? What you can do over here, this is the if statement, right? We can as well have an else statement. So we can say else. We can use the get dot snack bar again. Okay, now we're going to pass the title of the error. It can as well be error creating account. Okay, now the message is going to be probably please, can just use capital letter, please enter all fields. Okay, so if the email, if the username, if the image is empty, if the username, the email is empty, then it's going to run this else part over here. If not, it's going to just run the if part. That is, it's going to create the user with the email and password. Then as well, we're going to upload the photo URL, the image to our storage. Then as well, we're going to upload all the data to our Firestore database. Okay. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to call this function called register user. Now you can see this is more like a sub of the auth controller. So in order for us to gain access to this register user, we need to gain access to the auth controller. Now in order to gain access or be able to use this auth controller, okay, let me just show you this now. First of all, if we should go to our sign up, now over the I think this is the sign up, right? Okay, this is it over here, and we did not wrap it with a button yet. I think we did not. I hope this is the sign up. Okay, this is the sign up page, right? So what we are going to do, over the center, we can wrap it with an equal, so it becomes clickable. Wrap with widget. Okay, can wrap it with inkwell. Okay, great. Now this inkwell has the on tap, right? So we can say on tap. You can just use an arrow function. Okay, what in order for us to have access to that register user, we need to have access to the alt controller. But if I should say dot, you can see we don't have access to that. Okay, we don't have access to the register user. Now to have access to the register user, what we can do is over the alt controller. First of all, I'm just going to use Control V2. I think we are having an error. You can click on this. I think it's going to take you. Okay, we just need to add the semicolon. I think so. Or let's check it out. Okay, it's gone. So we needed to add that semicolon. Now to have access to it, all we just have to do over here, we're going to say static, the alt controller class, alt controller. Then we're going to say instance is going to be equal to get dot find. Okay, great. So with this now we can have access to this register user. Now what we can do over the const, since we're going to be using this alt controller often times, we're going to go to the const. Okay, the const over here. I'm going to use Control and V to make this wide. Then as well, we can just add the comments. We can call this, you can say controller. Okay, so now we can create a variable. We can say call this alt controller, alt controller is going to be equal to alt. Okay, alt controller. Okay, dot instance. Okay, great. So now over here we can say alt controller, that is that variable created, alt controller, then we can say dot register user. Okay, great. Now you can see it expects the username, it expects the email, it expects the password and the image, right? Because those are the fields we created for the register user function. Okay, now what we can do in order to have access to the value of the username input, what you're going to do is over here, we're going to create a controller. So you can say underscore username. We can just make this private, so it's only accessible within this file. So you can say is equal to test editing controller. Okay, great. Now we can as well say is a final and is a type of test editing controller. Okay, great. Now we're also going to create for the email and password, right? So we're just going to paste this. Okay, so this is going to be email, and this is going to be for the password. Okay, great. I'm just going to get rid of this. Okay, now we're going to go to our first field, that is the username. Now we're going to say controller, it's going to be underscore the username. So with this we have the value the user is going to type in. Okay, so for the I think this is for the email, so we're going to say on this controller as well, sorry. sorry, this is going to be controller, then it's going to be underscore email. Okay, great. So now for the password as well, this is going to be controller, and this is going to be underscore password. So by doing this, we have the controller is going to listen for the value the user is going to type in. So it's going to grab that value. So over here, what you can do, so this is going to be underscore username, then dot test. Okay, great. So this is going to be underscore email dot test. For this is going to be underscore password dot test. Okay, now for the image, we're going to also create a function, so we're able to pick an image from our gallery, right? From our gallery. Well, we're going to do that in the next lecture. I think this is getting very long. Now, what you can do, make sure you don't close this file, else because of this error, your app is not going to run. So for the now, you can easily just comment this out if you know you're going to close this file, because if you do close this file, because of that, this error over here is not going to run. So you can just get rid of this. Then I'm going to see you in the next lecture. In the next lecture, we're going to create the function so we're able to pick image from our gallery. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now in this lecture, we're going to create the function so the users are going to be able to pick image from their gallery. Now before then, in order to upload to the Firestore database, what we're going to do first is to edit the rows. Then in order to get to this page, all you just have to do is to click on the Firestore database, then click on the rows. That's going to take you to this page. Now, I don't think yours is going to look exactly like this, but whatever it is, all you just have to do is after the right, you're going to remove everything after it. Okay, remove this as well. Then make sure you have your semicolon if for any reason you deleted it. Okay, now we're going to be able now to read and write. So I'm going to click on publish. Now as well, in order to upload image to the storage, we also need to edit this. Now in order to get to this, all you just have to do is to click on the storage, click on rules. Now I don't really think yours is going to look like this exactly. So all you just have to do after the right, you're just going to remove everything. Probably you're going to have something else than this. You just have to remove everything. Remove this as well. Okay, so we have our semicolon at the end of it. So now as we're going to be able to what? Read and write. So over here, I'm going to click on publish. Okay, great. Now we're going to create the function. So users are going to be able to pick an image. Now the logic is, first of all, we're going to create a function. So users are going to be able to pick image from their gallery. Then after the user pick that image from the gallery, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to store that image in a variable. Okay, now to do this, we're going to go to our hot controller. So there's it over here. Okay, at the top here, first of all, I'm just going to use Control and B to make this wide. Then I'm going to give a comment, probably function to pick image from gallery. Okay, great. Now this is going to be a function. We're just going to say void, and we're going to call this function pick image, right? I'm going to call it pick image as well. We're going to use the await, so we need to pass the async over here. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create a variable. It's going to be a final variable. Then what we can say is the name of the variable. We can call this picked image. Okay, picked image. Then we can say it's equal to, first of all, we want to await for it. Then we're going to say image picker, which we earlier installed. So this is going to help us to pick image from our gallery. So image picker, then we're going to say dot pick image. Now it's asking for the source. The source is going to be image source dot gallery. So we want to be able to pick image from the gallery. Okay, now after the user picks that image, what we're going to do is to return like a success message to that user. But for us to do that, first of all, we're going to check if the user actually picked any image. So to do that, over here we can use an if statement. We can say if this picked image, the picked image, if picked image not equal to is not equal to null, that is, if it is not empty, then I think picked. Okay, I think I made this spelling mistake over here. I'm just gonna copy this correct one. I think I can't spell this. Okay, picked image. If this picked image is not equal to null, then we want to return a success message. So we're gonna use the get dot snack bar. Okay, for the title we can just profile photo. Okay, now for the message we can say con. Okay, I'm just going to use capital letter for this. Congratulations, your photo or image has been uploaded. Okay, so uploaded, not uploading. So if the user actually picked an image, it's going to return this. Okay, right? Okay, I'm just going to add the semicolon. Now what we're going to do now is to store the picked image. So over here we're going to create a global variable for that. It's going to be a type of file. Then we can over here we can just add the question mark to say it can be null. Then we're going to call this picked underscore picked image. We are using the underscore so it becomes a private variable. So we are going to be unable to use it aside this file. Okay. Now what we can do, we can wrap this with arrowheads. So this is going to listen if we are changing the image, then it's going to update it every time. Okay, so we're going to wrap this with arrowheads. Okay, great. I think this should be in here. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, so we need to pass in the late as well. Late. Okay, great. Now over here we are saying if the picked image is not equal to null, that is, if it is not empty, then we want to say okay, congratulations, your image has been uploaded. So now over here we can actually now store that or get the part of the image. So to do that, all we just have to say is underscore this image we created over here, that is our global variable, underscore picked image is going to be equal to the arrow else as well. So this is going to be file, then what we can say arrow else. Okay, then we can use the picked image dot part. Okay, add your file, right? So as well we're going to pass this to say it can be null. Then all we just have to say is this, then pass the file. Okay, this. Okay, so now we're going to get the part of the image by saying picked image dot part. Okay, add this as well. Okay, your semicolon. I think we over it over. Okay, we're missing this. Okay, great. Now we're going to use this we just created. So to use this, we're going to go to our sign up. First of all, okay, this we're going to say is we're going to use arrow function. So this is going to be alt controller dot pick image. Okay, great. Now the next thing to do is to display that variable that stores the part of our image over here. So now we can say alt controller dot. Now you can see we don't have access to that underscore picked image because we made it private. We made it a private variable. Now in order to get access to it, we're just going to use the getter to override that. Okay, so over here, sorry, over the alt controller, we're going to override that. So we're going to do this over here. So all we just have to do is to say the type is to create a variable called profile photo. Okay, we're going to say the type of file, right? Then over here we're going to say get. Then this is going to be we're going to use an arrow function. Then we're going to say is equal is over is going to go to this, more like overriding this. So taking the variable, taking what is here, then putting it to this variable called profile photo. So we're going to say underscore picked image dot value. Okay, value. Okay, great. Now over here we're going to use that. Okay, so we're going to say picked, sorry, profile photo. Okay, so what we basically did was to override that, or take what's that part, take the variable that is storing the part of the image, then just like or transfer. What we did was to transfer what is here to this variable by using the get. Okay, so now I'm going to use alt restart this. Now if you are using an iPhone, I don't think this is going to work for you, or I think probably you need some extra configuration how to use the image picker. Okay, I just think okay, I just think you're going to try this out yourself first, then the next lecture we're going to continue from here. So now all you just have to do is to try to pick an image. Make sure you fill in all those fields, this, make sure you had a very long password to this. Then the next lecture I'm going to see you because I'm having a very low, but okay, I'm just going to do this. Okay, now we're going to click on this. Remember what we simply did over here. We called the function, right? So when we click on that icon, it's going to take us to our gallery. Okay, click on this. Okay, great. Now our gallery is open, so now you can pick an image. Make sure you fill in all those fields because one of our validation is it must not be empty. And since the password is from Firebase, because we're using the create password, we are using this over the alt controller. Okay, over the alt controller, we are using the create user with email and password. So it expects the password must be a strong type. Okay, okay, great, congratulations. Okay, you're just gonna try this out yourself. Hi guys, welcome. Now in the last lecture, we created this function called pick image, and we said we want to be able to pick image from our gallery. Then over here, we said if the user actually picked an image, then we want to return a text to the user which says, congratulations, your image has been uploaded. Okay, now over here, we created a global variable called underscore picked image, which is a private variable. Okay, now also we wrapped it with the arrows, and the reason for this arrows is so it's going to listen for the updates we are making to the image. Probably we picked the wrong image, or we selected the wrong image and we want to pick another. So this is going to listen for the change of the picked image. Okay, great. Now over here, we simply use the global variable which we created, which we called underscore picked image. Then we said is equal to the RS, which is going to listen for the changes we are making to the image, then update it 3 times. Then over here we pass the file because it's a type of file, right? Then over here, remember this is a variable, right? This is a variable. Then we said we want to pick image from the gallery. So over here we said picked image, then dot path in order to get the path of that image. So by doing this, we have the picked image in the global variable called underscore picked image. Then what we are simply doing over the sign up page, what we simply did, remember over here we have this icon button which is this over here. So we said when this is clicked, it's going to trigger that pick image function we created in the hot controller, right? It's going to trigger it. Then as well, over here, we are using the path to the or the variable that stored the picked image. Now remember, because we are using a private function, we are unable to get hold of that private function. So what we simply did was to override it by creating a variable called profile photo. Then we use an arrow function. So we are saying this goes to this. So automatically the value of that picked image is in this variable. Okay. Hopefully you understand this, but if you don't understand this, it's still fine. But I believe as the process goes, you're gonna get bits of everything. Okay. Now what we're gonna do now is to try this out. I hope I have a very strong network. So now we're gonna click on this. So when we click on this, it's gonna trigger this function, and we're gonna be able to pick image from the gallery. So click on this. Okay. Now we are in our gallery, so now we can pick this image. Now it's gonna return this. Congratulations, your image has been uploaded. Okay, because we had picked an image. So now for the username, we can use first of all, we can just click on register to see what is going to happen. Okay, now you can see since it is null, since we don't have any value, since the email and the password, the image is empty, so it's going to skip this if part, then return the else part which says error creating account. That is the title. Then please enter all fields. You can see that's what it just did. Okay, now what we can as well do, we can actually pick a username. We can say test user. Okay, for the email, we can badly format this by saying test user. Then the password, make sure it's long. Just gonna use this 0. I think we also need to hide this password 0. Just gonna use bj mark this. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna click on register. I'm gonna get rid of this. I click on register. Okay, now you can see the error. Okay, so it's trying to say our image is badly formatted. Remember over here we are using a try as well. Okay, so it's saying our image is badly formatted. So now what we can sorry for that. So now what we can do is over the test user we can add the at gmail.com. Okay, now we're gonna click on now register. Okay, click on register. Now you can see we got no error, so this went successful. So now what we can do, we can click on go to the side and go to data. Okay, you can see we already have it there. Okay, great. Okay, I've done it before, so I have one. Okay, now you can see everything over here. Okay guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now we are currently logged in, but we are still in the login page. So now what we can do, we can create a new page. So when the user clicks on login, it's as well going to take the user to the new page. Okay, now to do this, first of all, I'm just going to close this. Then I'm going to go to files. Okay, then leave. Right, then in the views, we're going to create a new file. Then over the screens, we're going to create a new file. And we're going to call this file home underscore screen dot dot. Okay, now for the now we can just use a stateless widget as well. We're going to call this screen, right? Then over here I'm going to highlight, then I'm going to use control and dot in order to import the material.dat package. Okay, now instead of returning a container, we can return a scaffold, so we have access to lots of property. So this is going to be the body. We can just say center for now. It's going to be child, and it's going to be a test widget. We can just logged in. Okay, great. So now in order to navigate to this page, all we just have to do is to go to our port controller. Okay, now I'm going to use Control and B to make this wider. Now, apart from printing the logged in already, as well, if these fields are not empty or if there is no issue, what we as well want to do, we want to go to that page. So to do that, all we just have to do is within the if, right, we're going to say get dot of all. Now you can see it expects a page, so we're going to pass in the home screen, right? Okay, add your semicolon. Okay, now we're going to hot restart this. Okay, great. Now what we can do, we can say test. This should be BEE. Okay. Debug console. Okay, nothing yet. Okay, the email is badly okay. It says it's badly formatted. So I think this is test user at gmail.com. Right, okay. Now I'm gonna click on login. Okay, it said the password is not correct. You can see we have cool validation as well. Okay, great, great. Now you can see we are in the home screen. Hi guys, welcome. Now currently we are logged in, but if I should auto restart this, it's going to take us back to the login page. And that means a user is going to need to log in all the time they want to use our app. But we're not going to be needing this. That is, what we're going to do is once the user logs in, we're going to save that section so the user don't need to log in all the time they desire to use our app. Now you can see currently, because I hot restarted this, we are currently back to the login page. And for me to use this app again, I need to log in, which I think is a very bad design. So what we're going to do is we're going to save that user section. So immediately they log in, they don't need to log in again, or probably until they'll log out themselves. Okay, now to do this, we're going to go to the files, then we're going to go to the auth controller. Okay, but before we do this, please note there are varieties of ways to achieve the same result. So there are probably other ways to do this, and you're going to get exactly the same result. Okay, so the way pattern we're going to be using to do this, over here we're going to create a lead. It's going to be arrowheads as well. Then we're going to pass in the user. The user we are passing is not the user model, but the hot user. Okay, the hot user. Okay, so now what we can do now, we can add this as well. Then we can say create the variable underscore user. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do next is we are just going to do this over here. We're going to say on ready, and the reason for this on ready is immediately the app loads is going to fire anything we are going to add over here. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to say underscore user, which is that variable we created, is going to be equal to the arrowheads as well. Then we are also going to pass in the alt user. Then we're going to say it can be null. Then this, then we can say firebase dot current, sorry, firebase alt and dot current user to get the current user. Okay, now as well we're going to say underscore user is equal to, sorry, first we're going to bind the user to a stream, so we're going to say user dot bind stream. Now we're going to say firebase alt dot alt changes. So this is going to look for alt state changes. It's going to look for the it's going to look for changes. Okay, so now what we can do lastly, we can say ever. Okay, now it's asking for the listener. We can say we want to listen for the user. Okay, now for the callback, we can create a function over here. We can say underscore uh set initial. Hope I can spell initial state. Okay, great. Now I'm just gonna copy this function and then create it over here. Then as well, we're going to pass in a variable called user. Then it's going to be a type of user, right? Okay, now what we are going to do, we're going to check if we have data, that is if we have any user data, that is if the user is logged in, or if we have any logged in user. So to do this, we're going to say if user is equal to null, that is if we don't have any user, then we just want to say get dot of all. We want to return the login screen. Okay, but if we have a user, so this is going to be else, that is the opposite of not equal to, sorry, the opposite, this is equal to null, so the else should be if it's equal to null, that means we don't have any user, we just want to return the login screen. Else we are going to say get dot of all, then it's going to be the screen home screen. Okay, so what we are basically saying, we are saying if we don't have any user, then we want to keep the login screen. Else, if we have a user, then we want to return the home screen. Okay, now currently I think we don't have any user, right? So first of all, we're just gonna we recently logged in, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna hot restart this. Hopefully, probably my network is bad. I'm just gonna wait for the output, but okay, check it first. Okay, great. Now you can see we already have a user because we recently logged in. So now even if you hot restart this, you don't need to log in all the time again. Now if you don't understand this that well, just know from this part, from to this part is to save the user section, right? Probably in the next lecture I'm going to explain a bit more deeper. Okay, so anytime we desire to use the app, we don't need to log in all the time again. Okay guys, see you in the hi guys, welcome. Now in this lecture we're going to build the bottom navigation bar, so we're going to be able to navigate between pages within our app. Now currently we are logged in and we are currently at the home page. Now in order to confirm that we are in the home page, what you can do is to go to the terminal, then U terminal, then you're going to see the debug console, then click on it. Now you can see currently we are at the home screen. That is the home page, right? Okay. Now what we're going to do in this lecture is we're going to create the bottom navigation bar, and the reason for this is we want to be able to easily navigate to different pages within our app. Okay, now to do this we're going to go to the home screen. So first of all I'm going to remove this, then I'm going to go to files, then I'm going to go to home screen. Okay, now I'm going to use Ctrl and B to make this wide. Then first of all, I'm going to remove this center widget. To do this, I'm just going to highlight first, then use Control and dot. Sorry, Control and dot. Okay, then we're going to click on remove this widget. Now, if I should use Control and S to save, you can see it will no longer be at the center. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to build the bottom navigation bar. Okay. So to do this, within the scaffold, we're going to say bottom navigation bar. We can as well say bottom navigation bar, but I'm going to be using the Cupertino tab bar, which is similar to the bottom navigation bar but has some extra styles. So I'm going to say Cupertino tab bar. Cupertino tab bar. Okay. Now as well we're going to pass in the items. Okay. Now we're going to be having 5 bars. Okay, so to do that, over these items, that is, you can see the items is a list, right? So we're going to have 5 items. So we're going to say bottom navigation bar item. Okay, for the icon we're going to use the icon widget. So this is going to be icons dot home. Okay, now also we're going to make this icon big, so we're going to pass in the size of probably 30. Okay, Now we're going to add a label to it. We can say this is the home screen or the home page. Okay. Now I'm going to add my training comma. Then I'm just going to copy this and paste up to 5 times. That is 4 more times. So this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now for the second icon, this is going to be search. So that's the search screen. Okay. So this is going to be search. Okay. Now in the future, we're going to customize this third icon. So for the now, I'm just going to leave it with the home icon. So for the fourth icon, this is going to be icons dot message. Okay. So over here, the label just can be messages. Okay. Now for the fifth icon, it's going to be icon dot person, and we can say we can say this is the profile screen, right? Okay, just gonna get rid of this. Add your training comma. So this should be size. This. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna use Control and S to save. Okay, which will automatically give us a very good format. Okay, I'm just gonna add my training comma here. Sorry. Here as well. Great. Now go check it out. Okay. Now what we can do, we can make this background black as well. So to do that, over here, I'm just gonna break this down. Okay. We can say background color. We can use our background color we have in the const. Okay. Now go check it out. Okay, great. Now you can see the selected item is the greenish color. So what we can do, we can say the selected item or this active color should be something else. So to do that, over here as well, I'm just gonna break this down. We can say active color. We want the color to be colors dot red. Okay, go check it out. Okay, now this is the current page we are currently in the home screen, so it picks the red color. So all these are the inactive icons, right? So as well, we can say for the inactive color, that is the page we are not in, we want the color to be colors dot white. Okay, go check it out. Okay, great. Okay, now in the next lecture, we're going to make this all clickable, but before then, I'm going to do some little bit modification. Now over this login screen, now whenever we are typing the password, we don't want it to be visible to anyone. So what we can do, within the text field, I think we have something known as obscured text. So you can set it to true. So whenever we are typing the password, nobody's going to see it. Okay, as well, we're going to go to the sign up. I think we also have the password there. Okay, for the password as well, we're going to say hub secured test to true. So we want the password to be invisible. Okay, great. So now in the next lecture, we're going to make this clickable. So we're going to be able to navigate to pages. Okay, guys, see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, welcome. Now, when we click on any of this, we want to be able to navigate to that page. Okay, but what we're going to do first is we're going to make all this clickable. You can see for now it's not clickable. Okay, to do this, first of all, since we're going to be updating the UI, what we can do is to convert this stateless widget to a stateful widget. And to do that, all you just have to do is to first of all highlight, then use Control and dot. Then we're going to click on convert to stateful widget. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to make all these icons clickable. You can see it is not clickable. So to do this, we're going to keep track of the current page we are in. So over the state, we're going to create a variable and we're going to call this variable page indents. Then we're going to set it to 0, which should be the home page, right? Because that is the starting point. Now we can say it's a data type of int, which is a number, right? Okay. Now this Cupertino has something called on tap. That is, once it is tabbed, then want to create a function. Okay. Now we're going to pass in indents over here. Then we're going to set state. Like I said, we're going to be updating the UI. So we're going to say set state. I think. Okay, set state. Now we're going to say page index is going to be equal to the index. Okay, add this over here. Okay, now this is going to keep track of the current page we are currently in. Then it's going to update it. Okay, so now to finally see this in action, if we use Control and S to save, it's still not going to work. Okay, and to finally see this in action, what we can do as well, it also has the current index, that is the current page we are in. So we can say page index. Okay, so currently we are in the home page, right? Okay, now we can, okay, you can see. Great. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to be able to navigate to different pages. Now for the now, we're just going to add this dummy data. So what I can do, we can create a variable called pages. Then we can say it's equal to a list. Okay, it's going to be a final variable, right? Okay, so we're going to have the first test, which is going to represent the home for now. Okay, so we're going to say home page. Okay, I'm just going to copy this for copy and paste this 4 more times. So this is going to be 2, then 3, then 4 and 5. So this is going to be the search page. Remember I said we're going to customize the third icon. I'm going to use a customized icon, so I'm just going to leave that. So this is going to be a message page, and the last is going to be the profile page. Okay, sorry. Okay, add your semicolon over here. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use all this page variable. So to simply do that, I'm just going to remove this test widget. Then I'm going to call that pages. Then we're going to pass in the page index, which is going to be 0 at default. That is the home page. Okay, now I'm going to use Control and S to save. Then go check it out. Now you can see, okay, still reloading. Okay, now we are in the home page, right? You can see it over there. Now you can see it as well. Change to the search page. You can see it over there, the message page as well. Now before we end this lecture, please note there are varieties of ways to do this as well, but I think this is the most easy approach. First of all, we created a variable called page index, which we said is equal to 0, which should be the home page, right? Then over here, we simply use the on top, then we pass in the index, which is going to keep track of the page we are currently in. And over here, we said if it is tapped, once it's tapped, we want to update the UI to the number that is tapped. So assuming we can say this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So this is the 0, which is the starting point. Okay. So over here, we also passed in the current index. Then we said it's the page index, which is the starting point of 0. That is the home page. Okay. So over here, we are calling that variable. Then we are passing the page index. So for the first time, this is gonna be 0, right? So when we click on this, it's gonna update to 1 and so on. So that was why we used the setState and also passed in the index. We also passed in this index over here. Okay, now in order to get our code more cleaner, what we can just do is to cut this out of here. Okay, now we're going to go to the const. Okay, now what we can do, we can just do it above here. Then we can use a comment first. So sorry, comments, we can say list. I'm just going to use capital letter for this. List of pages we have. Okay, great. Now we can paste this. Okay, I think okay, we're just gonna use Control and S to save, then Control and S to save as well. Okay, so we're not gonna get okay, great, still working. Now we're not gonna have a messy code. Okay, guys, see you in the next.
This video is over. Go to starfreelance.eu to download these videos, materials, and sources. Watch more videos to get premium videos and ebooks. We'll be a Starfreelancer.